Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alt Kings podcast. I'm your host, Tate, with my co-host, Corbin, and today we're talking about a very, very special token.
Indeed.
Shout out to XRP Fresh.
XRP Crypto Fresh on Twitter. We will have a link right here.
Yes.
Somewhere around here.
Well, as you see in the title, it's called SeedOn, other known as SeOn.
Yeah.
With a price of less than a penny, less than actually half of a penny, and a max supply of only 350 million tokens.
This is a tiny, tiny gem. Now, we also must preface this with saying, not financial advice.
We are not financial advisors, so do not take any of this as financial advice, but you can take this as crypto information that we are more or less putting you on.
Correct.
So SeedOn is a blockchain-based solution whose goal is to revolutionize conventional crowdfunding, aiming to provide traceability and transparency to all stakeholders so that they have full control of their investments at all times. I find this very unique because crowdfunding is a pretty big space.
Yeah, crowdfunding is massive.
Yeah. And it's got a lot of money revolving throughout it, obviously with a lot of small cap projects trying to build something and make their own way and pave their way throughout this whole entire crypto space.
Sure.
And more or less, crowdfunding is also used, not even just in the crypto space, just in business society.
Yeah.
And, but crypto specifically, we do see a lot of scams with crowdfunding. Mm-hmm. People rug tremendously, and it brings a bad rep to the space, unfortunately. Kind of like Luna. But Luna 2.0 came out, and nonetheless...
And predictably.
Nonetheless, another 80% crash.
Fantastic.
Anyways, Luna is obviously not a crowdfunded project of any sort.
No.
But what is crowdfunding, Corbin?
So crowdfunding is essentially where somebody comes up with an idea.
Yes.
Let's say they wanted to make a light. Sure. Something super basic, right?
Yeah.
Or actually something even simpler. They wanted to make a mug, right?
Okay.
So they have an idea for a mug they want to make.
Yes.
And let's say it's some revolutionary mug. Maybe they've created some like compound that keeps your drinks hot or cold or something like that. Whatever.
Sure.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So they need to find seed funding for their project or invention or product that they're creating.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So they will go to a website like Kickstarter or some of the, I'm sure there's competition.
They'll go to Shark Tank and basically pitch their idea to a ton of investors who would be willing to potentially invest.
Exactly. Yeah. So then it will essentially, they'll give their pitch, or if it's on Kickstarter, they'll write like an article about what their product is.
More or less like a white paper.
Yeah, a white paper might have schematics and what they're trying to do. And then you'll have different tiers to be a backer.
Gotcha.
So there will be like smaller tiers where it's just like, hey, this is a cool idea. Here's like a tip jar, essentially. And then as you start getting to the more expensive tiers, you start getting more and more items back from it. So let's say they made like a mug that was just one color, right? Sure. So maybe it was like black, for instance.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the higher tiers could be, hey, not only do you get the mug, but it's also going to have a custom image on it that's going to be printed on it. And maybe it's dishwasher safe or something, whatever.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then after that happens and they've collected all their funding, and let's say it reaches the 100% funding goal, then they're going to start production of the mugs and then ship them out to the initial investors.
Okay.
Now the issue comes with when they first initially get the money.
Yep.
Because if somebody's trying to scam people,
they can just take it and run.
Now they will be banned off Kickstarter forever. Of
course.
But I mean, if you've made, a couple $100,000
or a couple $100 million,
$100 million off of people,
it gives you a bad rep, but
it gives you a bad rep.
You made a big bag.
Yeah, you made a fat bag. So having the blockchain be implemented into this whole process would make everything so much more secure.
Yep.
And I think it would also force people to maybe not necessarily be more transparent, but maybe stick to their deadlines more or make more realistic deadlines. Because that's another big issue with Kickstarter products is they'll say, hey, it's coming out in January sometime, right? But then it doesn't start shipping till April or May. A lot of people thought they
get it by February. Yeah.
Yeah. So by having all of this information on the blockchain for everybody to see, it would make it a lot more, I guess it would give people more confidence. So let's say somebody's what would you say, maybe a serial inventor? If that's such a thing. Somebody who has multiple inventions or is just like that type of mind.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. If they wanted to create multiple projects or multiple products, and maybe it's not maybe under an official company or anything, they can see, hey, this person's delivered on time in the past.
Yes.
There's some confidence here from the history.
There's trust.
I'm going to back this product because I like the product and I like the person.
Of course. Makes sense. But with the blockchain, there also can be rugs, obviously. It just depends on how you go about more or less choosing how to start the crowdfunding source.
Yes. And it's also about whether or not the individual's doxed or not.
Yep.
So
that's a big factor in everything nowadays. NFTs, tokens, everything.
Major factor.
You really want to make sure that they are doxed, regardless of investing into the project.
Yeah, totally. And what's really cool about SeedOn is that they basically control who's able to post stuff onto their marketplace for initial funding.
Yes.
So the creator of it has to be fully doxed, and like information has to be out there about them. They can't just be some Joe Schmo off the street with a fake ID.
Yeah.
Like you at the club.
It's a controlled startup capital infusion.
Correct. Yeah.
The total capital invested will be released to the startup into stages. Therefore, the entrepreneur will only have an access to a limited amount of cash flow until further objectives or targets of the project have been completed.
Yeah.
Which is very, very resourceful.
Yes, and that's another thing too to help combat people rugging. So
security.
Yeah. So essentially whoever's creating, let's say we'll go back to the mug example. If somebody's creating a mug, they're going to say, hey, we have the schematics out already. So we're going to go in, we're going to create a mold, and then we're going to collect materials and stuff. And they're going to have dates for when these objectives are going to be met. And they might have update posts with like, hey, here's pictures of the mold and like other things like people might find interesting, and just general updates on the progress of it.
Yes.
To,
continuously.
Make sure, to make sure that like, they're holding up their end of the bargain.
Yes.
Right. So if you restrict a person's funding, instead of it being just a lump sum and it's coming in batches as you meet objectives.
Yes.
It's a much, much smarter way to go about things.
I'm curious on how they're able to recognize the objectives being completed. I'm guessing pulling up proof, like the crowdfunder has to be showing proof of these objectives accomplished.
My thought is that they actually have somebody manually checking the objectives.
Makes sense. I was also thinking of the investors who are investing into the crowdfund. They get to decide whether or not it was completed.
An objective-based DAO, perhaps?
More or less, yeah. That was just my idea of it. Because, I mean, if the investors are seeing the progress and they're seeing that, hey, this is actually getting done step by step by step, we should be able to allow them access to more funds.
Sure.
Of our own money.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it just ensures that the unlikely event of a fraudulent project, the loss will be kept to a minimum, and losing only a part of the total capital, having the rest returned to the investors, which is very secure.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, is if somebody rugs and, with a Kickstarter campaign, that money's already been paid out.
Yeah.
So
straight to the bank account.
Straight to the bank account, and more than likely the people who are of that mindset have already moved the money to, a separate bank account or maybe an escrow. Or maybe they just took it out as cash.
Yeah.
Like at that point, you can't do anything.
No, it's all gone.
But if it's traceable via the blockchain, you can potentially reverse that transaction.
Potentially reverse it, but you can also trace it.
Yeah, you'll trace
find
it.
Every single wallet address it's going to and where it's going to and how it's being handled.
Yes, but if like what you said before in the article, if they're trying to give investors back their money, there's got to be some way to either reverse it or find some other way to compensate, maybe in the form of more SeedOn token or maybe Binance token because it's on the Binance Smart Chain.
Yeah,
so
you have a point.
Something like that.
Yeah. Investments in the startups on our platform will be conducted through SeOn, providing a stable and constant trading volume. This will ensure that SeOn will not only be traded by crypto traders on public exchanges, but it will also be traded indirectly by all platform users investing in startups. This will benefit the value of the coin, as having a constant balance supply and demand ratio will provide stability to the coin's price and might even increase its value.
Yes.
I mean, considering there's only 350 million tokens, I don't see a reason why the value would not increase. Especially if we're getting millions of dollars of volume starting to circulate through this token.
Sure.
With more startups and crowdfunding sources continuing to invest their time into this idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very, very clever, I see.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of potential, but once again, not financial advice. Yes. There are a lot of different benefits of using SeedOn over conventional crowdfunding platforms. We could start off with investments using cryptocurrency. Investors using our platform have the option to use SeOn token, like stated. To invest in a startup or receive the rewards, having the possibility to choose fiat currency as well. Imagine SeOn as a widely used way of payment. I mean, what we just saw whenever you're looking to stake it, the transaction fees are very, very minimal for the exchanges that it's currently on.
Perks of being on the Binance chain.
Yeah, indeed. This will benefit both investors and entrepreneurs, as well as it will provide an easy way to earn passive income and successfully complete an efficient crowdfunding campaign. Everything we want to see.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
It will just ensure the investors' confidence through the crowdfunding source and the project that they're investing to. Because, I mean, crowdfunding can be a very big thing whenever you're thinking about it in the long term, because you're investing into a small startup, and if the startup sticks to its plan and actually becomes successful, you can receive a big return from it. Mm-hmm. Like, I saw this video a while back on TikTok. Don't remember exactly who it was from. Actually, I believe it was from a Harvard business professor. Mm-hmm. He has his own TikTok account. He was just talking about how he started this startup, and he was on the phone with one of the investors into it. He called this investor. It was like a decade later. Mm-hmm. Like, you remember this? I forgot what type of company it was. You remember that company you invested into 10 years ago? He's like, yeah. He was like, remember how much you threw into it? He was like, yeah, I think I just a couple tens of thousands of dollars. He's like, yeah, you want to know how much that costs now? Or how much you're going to be getting back in your bank account within this next week? He's like, tell me. It was over a couple $1 million. Yeah.
Nice.
It's just about having that structure behind it's all about having that structure behind the platform, more or less, or the project.
Sure.
And that will just ensure less risk and more reward in the long term.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
There's also transaction transparency and accountability. SeedOn's main goal is to provide a transparent platform using distributed ledger technology, DLTs. We've talked about that in the past. That will foster investment transactions between investors and entrepreneurs in a trusted environment. Our platform is using BSC, as you stated, Binance Smart Chain, to make use of its consistent mechanism in order to facilitate fast, safe, and secure transactions visible to network users at all time. Making sure it's very structured, stable, and efficient.
Yeah. Once again, more benefits of porting things over to the blockchain.
Yeah.
Moving your Web 2 Kickstarter over to Web 3.
More or less. Indeed. I mean, although they do have benefits of crowdfunding, there's also staking benefits.
Yeah.
I mean, the rewards were
pretty decent. They have a couple different tiers that you can lock up your SeedOn into. So they have a 7-day, a 30-day, and a 90-day. The 7-day was pretty small. I think it was around 3%.
Sure.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
It's only 7 days. Then there's a 30-day one where you would actually get, I think it was 30% back. And there's a 90-day, which I think is almost full. It's pretty much full at this point. I think I was only able to like throw in like 900 SeOn if I wanted to do that, which is nothing.
That's like...
It's like $1.
No, it's a little more than that. If 200 SeOn was 88 cents, then 900 SeOn would be like $3.50.
Yeah, big whoop. Yeah, the 30-day one still had a bunch of slots in it, though. That one you get... Yeah, so 30 days was 30%, and then 90 days was 50%. So realistic APYs, that's what I like to see.
Yeah. Stability.
Yeah, because like if you start looking back with Luna and the Anchor protocol and about the swap between UST and Luna and all that stuff and what you could be earning if you were staking, it was like a couple 100%. Brutal. That's unsustainable. That's literally the definition of a Ponzi.
Yeah. I mean, what was that one? Remember when I was on AVAX a while back?
Yeah.
Investing into, what were those things called?
I don't remember the name of anything on AVAX, sadly.
It was like Galaxy Goggle DAO. It was like a structured DAO, and like I was investing in these things, and like the APY was just out the butt, and like I could be getting like 600% returns if I would have like been like an early adopter of the project, and it like had a massive spike, but then once I got into it, it just went on a complete downhill because those APYs are just unsustainable.
You bought.
Every crypto investor. Literally though. I mean, it's just those high APYs are just unsustainable whenever there's not a lot of liquid. I mean, there's nothing to prove that high APYs are sustainable actually.
Yeah. Do you know how like a Ponzi scheme actually works?
Yes and no. I mean, if you want to explain, by all means.
Okay. So for those who are unaware of what a Ponzi scheme is, a Ponzi scheme is essentially where somebody comes and says, hey, if you give me $5, I'm going to come back. I'm going to give you $10 in a month.
Sounds like strong.
Yeah, sounds like strong. Gosh. Yeah. So essentially the guy who's creating the Ponzi will then take the $5 and then he'll go to a bunch of people, collect $5 from all of these people, right? So he's got a big pool of cash, right? So then he goes back to the original investors, says, hey, here's your $10. Thank you. And then it just keeps paying out like that. But what happens is he only pays out, the Ponzi schemer will only pay out to it's like a first come, first serve type of thing.
Sure.
And then what happens is as the publicity of it starts to rise and more people start to invest into it, then at a certain point, when it starts to become unsustainable, because that's duh.
There's no sustainability.
Yeah. There's no sustainability to it whatsoever. Then what he'll do is he'll just basically just take the money and run. Or in crypto's case.
Sounds like Jordan Belfort in his early lifetime.
True. Yeah, that's pretty rough.
But he actually paid everything back.
Yeah.
Plus more, actually. I just saw a podcast with him on it recently.
A lot of interest.
Yeah.
A lot of penalties
not even.
too.
Like, the government was just starting to say, like, they were trying to, like, basically find people that he needed to pay back, but there was nobody else out there for him to pay back because everybody got their money. So they're basically starting to, like, make up people just so he'd pay the government more.
Oh,
like,
of course.
He paid the government, like, tenfolds over.
Disgusting.
Yeah. It was dirty.
Yeah.
But they got their money.
Oh, you know they will. You know they will. Just ask Martha Stewart.
Terrible.
And Wesley Snipes. Did they heard anything from him in the last, 10 years?
I have
20
no
years?
clue. He's probably hiding in the Cayman Islands.
I mean, maybe. He definitely doesn't have a cooking show with Snoop Dogg. Martha's living her best life, dude. Anyway.
Yeah, she got out of prison and changed.
A little minimum security tennis court prison.
You learned a lot, supposedly.
Yeah.
That's what Snoop said.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Yeah, good for her.
Yep. There's plenty of possibilities to earn future income. Most existing crowdfunding platforms only allow donation-based pledges, meaning that the pledge pay in advance for physical product that at some point in the future will be manufactured and delivered. For example, the coffee mug, like you're discussing.
Yep.
Additionally, to this type of crowdfunding, we want to actually acquire equity for the startups listed on SeedOn. Thus, in the future, when specific trigger events might occur, they will be able to sell their acquired shares from startups and generate profits.
Yep.
More or less kind of like what I was talking about. So everything's starting to flow well together.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like, I don't want to say it, but like it just seems like the best bet if you're trying to do crowdfunding through crypto.
Yeah.
Just the most secure choice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And plus the possibilities are much higher as well.
Yeah.
The ability for people to take advantage of this is going to be massive.
Yeah.
Massive. I mean, just looking at their roadmap alone, I mean, they've already hit their first, what is this? Like first four things they've already had, like boom, 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 one after the other. And what I find interesting is that in August, they plan to release the version 1 of the platform.
Yeah.
And then also start procedures to become an authorized FINRA SEC broker-dealer. So when you can start,
SEC.
so they can authorized by the SEC, so they can start selling equity for Kickstarter companies.
That's incredible.
Instead of just products.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's spicy. And then in October, according to their roadmap, they say they're going to adopt IBM's hybrid blockchain solution for financial applications, and then just a bunch of jargon, and then basically it will lead to greater transparency due to increased trust embedded in iterations. So essentially, it'll be a more secure blockchain.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And the people who are trying to be using this network to crowdfund, they'll be going through user screening process.
Yeah.
So they'll basically have to go through a registration and a screening process for a background check completely. Yep. So making sure that the people who are using this for crowdfunding are completely doxxed and completely aware that SeedOn has all of your information, and they will find you if they need to.
Well, yeah, plus, crypto people talk. Yeah. We talk a lot.
Yeah.
The mug.
Yes, the mug. That's why my mom got it for me.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, no, the both of us, we're equally as bad.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what Corbin's basically saying is we talk a lot, therefore the word's going to get around. Mm-hmm. And your name's not going to be safe and secure like it used to be.
Yeah.
Right before you try to rug.
Yeah. I mean, people will find out anyway. I mean, if you look at I don't know, just there's only one kind of case of this that I've encountered in my time in crypto, and that was the history of SeedOn. And that man, he scammed a few people, and then he changed his name, and then we eventually found him.
Caught on.
Yeah, we started catching on, and then he admitted to people that he was actually SeedOn. And then he entered into the Crypto Dogs server, and then Felix, who's the creator of the Crypto Dogs, was like, SeedOn, this is your last chance. You will behave, or you will be banished from the server. Do I make myself clear?
He wasn't.
Oh no, he was fine. He was in it for a day or two, and then I never saw him again. I don't know what identity he's going by, but that's how I like to think that Felix talks.
Yeah.
He sounds like an old man who is very wise and is also very fed up with your BS.
A little bit of royalty touch to it.
Of course. Felix is royalty.
There you go.
Have you seen this man's doggos?
Oh, yeah, yes.
He is royalty.
I've definitely seen him. I like the Creed's collab with him.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite dog.
Oof.
The bone legs. Those
nasty boy. Nightmare fuel. Anyway.
Last but not least, for utility-wise, SeedOn will protect your intellectual property.
Yep.
SeedOn will gate all project details with an authentication mechanism so that only registered investors will have full access to startup projects. Mm-hmm. Prior to registering as an investor account, every user will have to fill in an NDA, non-disclosure agreement. Basically, so that any information or sensitive data leaked, legal consequences may apply. I love that.
Yeah.
It keeps you could say it keeps the bird in the cage.
Correct. Yeah. The thing I find interesting about this part specifically is how is that screening process going to work? What is the mechanism? Is it AI based? Do they have people manually checking through copyright and patent documents to find if anything's already
potentially just identification based, sending in a photo of your ID?
Well, no. This is specifically for, let's say you wanted to make the coffee cup, and maybe you wanted to put a patent on maybe the compound that's in the coffee cup to keep it either hot or cold.
Sure.
So how would that screening process be implemented to be able to go through all of those documents? I mean, I don't even want to know how many patent and copyright and trademarked like documents that are out there.
Yeah.
It's got to be excruciatingly long.
Hundreds of pages.
You say hundreds?
Well, per type.
Per each one.
Per type. Per prototype, more or less.
Potentially, yes. But I'm talking about in the grand scheme of things. Like, there's probably millions.
Millions, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, without a doubt.
So I wonder if they have some sort of an AI-based system to handle that sort of a screening process. Because it's got to be rigorous.
Yeah.
Because then the other thing I think about, too, is legally speaking, who is on the hook if somebody makes a trademarked, a product that is already trademarked and the screening process doesn't catch it. And then the person goes and makes the product, the creator of the original product that was patented finds out and sues them for infringing on their copyright.
Yeah.
Who's on the hook for that? Is it SeedOn or is it the new content creator or the new product creator?
Definitely the new product creator.
See, here's the thing. That's the initial thought.
Yeah.
But if you're going through...
If they're able to get access to be able to get crowdfunded through the SeedOn servers. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
Because SeedOn's the gatekeeper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if SeedOn lets somebody through, are they on the hook for that?
The more you think, the more you'll know.
Modern problems. Modern solutions.
Their solution to registering an investor account, every user will have to fill out the NDA. Their solution will be provided publicly to visitors only on a brief description of the project, highlighting the main features without exposing detailed characteristics and implementation to the stages for the NDAs and stuff.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is I don't know if Kickstarter has any sort of a system in place for NDAs.
Sure.
So it would be cool if you were the inventor of something and you have all of these, retail seed funders who are very pumped about your project and you want to share prototype details and about like what that process is like. Because, people are going to be passionate. People can be passionate about anything, right?
Yes.
So if somebody is working on a prototype for the compound to keep your drinks hot or cold,
yes,
and they're going through the iterations and they're talking about the chemical process, maybe they could even get some like info from investors of like, hey, you mix this compound with this compound. I think you went a little heavy on this one. If you went with this one instead of this one, it could potentially make it better.
Yeah.
Because you have all of these minds that are melding together.
Just the smallest little tweak.
Like a social aspect.
Yeah. You have a point. Never thought of it like that. It allows more minds to basically think off the projects and stuff. More kind of like a community DAO in a way.
It's like you're alpha testing a physical product.
Yeah.
So even though you can't physically hold it and stuff, just by eyeballing, what the person's doing, maybe measurements are off slightly, or maybe somebody comes with an idea for a better implementation of something. Be a very easy way to add it if they just something. And they're already under NDA, so it's not like they're going to go out and share with Joe Schmo's coffee cup company the idea.
Yeah. You have a point. You have a very, very valuable point that has never really been thought about, to me at least. Well, I don't even know what to go off that. Because now I'm thinking like...
Possibilities, Tate. That's
what endless with this.
Yeah.
They're endless.
Yeah.
Because although it could be just physical products, it's digital products as well. So there can be beta tests and stuff of that sort like will happen with the beta product, like with the digital products.
Sure.
And then people will be able to feed in their own implementations and what they think could be better.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The digital implications of something like this would be different, but still just as massive.
Yeah.
So that's something I didn't even think about off the top of my head. Something like name of that. There was a name of a game. It escapes my head. It was essentially crowdfunded, and it like double or tripled its goal.
Wow.
It was supposed to be this massive online space game. It was super duper cool.
It's
not No Man's Sky. It was
Space Invaders.
I can't remember. It's going to kill me. I'm going to remember it. Like, as soon as we turn the camera off, I'm going to remember it probably. It's going to kill me.
Not even just games, though. Just applications as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
anything
true too.
Web3, anything Web2, just anything real life. I mean, anything can be crowdfunded as long as you have an idea and as long as you're willing to be doxing yourself. And you stick to your plan at the end of the day.
I wonder if this could also be used to help people who are building products and services in metaverses to help them stay alive financially. So, for instance, maybe you're really passionate about a project like, let's say, Sandbox, for instance, or Decentraland, right? And you had an idea for a way. Let's just spitball something. Maybe backpacks weren't implemented into the base code for one of these.
Yes.
And you wanted to add in that code.
Yes.
Well, that's going to take a lot of time.
And a lot of money to have.
And a lot of money.
The equipment.
Yeah. Well, even if you already have the equipment, the time alone, you got, let's say you have a family, you got a mortgage, like, you got to put food on the table. Yeah. So I think that could also potentially help people who are trying to implement services as well to ultimately expand the community, because they might not be able to promise necessarily a return back, but because you're already invested into this ecosystem that you like, Sandbox, Decentraland, etc., that could potentially add value to that base ecosystem that you have already invested in.
And you could receive a backpack.
And you might get a backpack out of it, yeah.
One of the first originated ones.
Yeah, maybe there's like a specific, like, SeON backpack line.
The only problem I have with that whole entire funding, like your family and your own personalized expenses, like the people who are investing into your crowdfunding source, they need to make sure that there's clarity within that. Like, they need to know that where the money's going. Like, hey, I'm working on developing something of some sort, and I'm going to be using this money to be able to fund my personal expenses as well as the product that I'm trying to source out.
Of course.
I mean, there just has to be transparency at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody's asking for like 10 grand,
you have
to implement a service, I mean,
you can get that from one person.
You can get exactly. But if somebody's already got the background for it and they want to do this service and they're already passionate about it, and you can see that they
have done things in the past, and have a great resume behind them.
Exactly. It's like, why not?
Of course. Crowdfunding, limitless.
Crowdfunding is limitless. It's pretty cool.
The next thing you know, the Alt Kings will be starting their own crowdfunding.
Or NFT project.
But we'll be starting our own crowdfund. It's going to be on, you guys all see our intro. We'll be making royal crowns, giving them away to each and every single one of our subscribers, as long as you pay a flat fee of $4,999.95.
You should have said $589 for the memes, bro. Do you see the hat you're wearing? We're still heavily workshopping this. This is very much spitballing.
The crowdfunding is definitely just jokes, but NFT project soon. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Alt Kings podcast, and we will see you next episode. I think that was a perfect way to end it.
Wow.
I think that was a perfect way to end it.
Completely missed the entire shindig. See, this is why I quit baseball as a kid.